to the cloud, and then we'll go.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're ready to go. We've got everybody here. We've got some attendees rolling in as well, which is nice. Welcome along, everybody. All right, today we've got some super fun stuff regarding Noca to show you. So let me just go ahead and share my screen so I can bring you up to date with the agenda, and people who are attending this know exactly how this is going to go. All right, so this is the agenda here. Welcome, everyone. I hope everybody's safe and doing okay. This webinar is being recorded, and we will publish it later. But today, the agenda is NetSuite and Noca. So we're going to be talking about bots, document generation, applications, and then we will have time for Q&A. Any questions, feel free to add them, and I'll do my best to answer them right away. And joining me today, I'm really excited, is Avishai Asaf. That's our guest. Avishai, tell us a little bit about you, and our audience would love to know what is it that you do. And if you want to meet Avishai after this call, I've got his QR code on the screen. So Avishai, the stage is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here, Amit, and thanks everyone for joining us. I'm Avishai. I'm managing SolutionLab, NetSuite partner in Israel, and we're basically solving many NetSuite challenges, from implementation until tailor-made solutions for NetSuite. So,
Nice.
Without further ado, Amit, stage is yours, Bex.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And how long have you been doing this, Avishai? I know obviously NetSuite's been around for a long time, but now the stage has changed really, because a lot of the times before AI, we would rely on code. The code would have to be done manually, and anything else you would need third-party tools. How has everything changed with AI? What do you see as like the biggest change in the industry with NetSuite and all the AI tools out there?
Well, I'm in this industry for more than 8 years, and basically, if you're looking like five years back, before the LLMs came to our lives, then you would see that every development would take hours and tens of hours to develop even the simplest things. And I'm not even talking about integrations. This was like a nightmare. And if I'm looking back before even the integration platforms began, then you should script an integration, and it was totally a different game.
That's fair. Okay, so today I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, and we'll begin. And the first part I want to talk about is the bots. Bots are changing the game right now. Almost everybody has to have a bot to reduce communication, where they would like log a ticket or like a Slack notification. And Noca is leading the front there, where it's essentially allowing you to add bots that connect with multiple CRMs, ERP systems like Salesforce, SAP, NetSuite. Now, before I dive into the demo of what the Noca bot can do, Avishai, you want to tell me a little bit more about how bots are changing the game today? Where do you see like the big advantage of clients using NetSuite with bots?
Well, actually, I see it as another layer that can simplify the integration inside the company. Well, basically, I would say that one of the most important interfaces would be between talking the NetSuite context, of course, would be the conversation between the financial team and the sales team, because those two teams need to collaborate in order to understand which customer is paying and how to upsell and how to spot opportunities. And in this gap, having like conversations in emails or something like that is very slow, and you can just waste hours or days to get answers. So I see that the bots layer here can give the sales team the insights they need without the financial jargon that can be hard to understand sometimes, and it's just immediate, and you can just continue work.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And then this is kind of the use case we're going to be showing you today. So here's a bot, and let me show you a little bit about what this bot does. I don't want to get into too many technical details, but I'll get into it enough so everybody gets an understanding. So the starting point of a bot, everything you do in Noca is actually based off a prompt. Like, you don't just dive into the builder, start putting the things together. That's like what was happening last year. Like, you would build a bot, it would be a bit of a drag and drop, then you would hard code a logic back and forth. And then it's really based on like, okay, if I do this, do this, if I do this, do this. With LLM coming into the place now, that's completely changed. Now you just write a prompt and the bot builds itself. Now, within the bot itself, we can do many things. We can add our specific set of instructions. We can add automations, which means if I want the bot to go ahead and create a record or maybe update something, it can. You can also include multiple data sources. One of the advantages with Noca bots is that you don't just have to stick to one specific place. You can actually have many different data sources connected to a bot, which can essentially mean that you can juggle between multiple systems, get that information without having to leave a single interface. Now, if you have file sources that you want the bot to read from, this is great for knowledge articles. You can certainly add those, and the bot will be able to reference that and give a lot of information. This is great if you're a salesperson and you essentially need to answer questions during a sales call, which are like quite cumbersome. They're almost like FAQs. So this is why like the file source is great. Web source is another great thing. If you want to just simply add a URL of the website, the bot can then simply reference everything within that page and respond answers accordingly. So a lot of different channels available that will help you just get that information out there without having to, like Avishai said, go to multiple layers, multiple channels, speak to finance, send emails, wait on it. These things can take a lot of time, especially if departments are overwhelmed, but the bot will certainly bring you that place. Now, the bot itself can be embedded anywhere. I'm going to show you an example. So here I am in Salesforce, and I'll head over to this account. You can embed this bot inside of Salesforce. So essentially what you've got here is a layer between NetSuite and Salesforce, but inside of Salesforce. So this is all reading from Salesforce. So one of the things I can do, I can ask a question. So let's say, show me all the customers in the table where name contains Orca. Now, what could happen here is obviously in NetSuite, you could have a customer with multiple, well, essentially the same name, just a different ID. So you can just start with that. And what Noca will do here, it will again go ahead and work with NetSuite and then look to bring you that data back into a table format. As you can see, I've got many different Noca.Ai, so this is a very, very good example. Now, I can ask more questions. So for example, I know that I've got a couple of IDs. I can say, okay, well, customer ID 3231, does it have any outstanding invoices? This is something I would ask finance. And like I said, they can either come back to me immediately or maybe they'll take a couple of days. But as a salesperson, I don't want to wait on that. I want to be able to get my answers quickly. And this is where the value that the Noca brings into play. So I'm going to ask questions, and there it is. I've got my answer, which is outstanding balance, overdue balance, and unbilled orders. Now, you can embed this anywhere you like. We can head over to another account. Another simple question, simple, but again, like I said, if you don't have access to NetSuite, it's not something you're going to be able to get an answer to very quickly. So I can just go and then say, okay, well, what are the payment terms for Grand Hotels and Resorts Limited? Again, it will think through, it will look in NetSuite, get that response for you, and return the result back to you like this. So another question that we add here. So Avishai, like I said, like you said, this really adds so much value where you don't have to go and ask that question in multiple channels. You can just be in one channel, embedded inside of Salesforce. And it doesn't just have to be Salesforce. There can be any CRM, ERP, SAP, Monday.com, you name it, but you can embed inside of it. Any couple of things I want to add on here is it's not just the fact that you can ask questions. If you have files with invoice, for example, you can upload it and it will go and create those line items inside of Salesforce. Or even if you want to do something back to NetSuite, you can. So that is the bot information. Avishai, would you like to add anything that you've seen in bot-related area that could be quite value-worthy for our audience here?
Yeah, well, I think the discussion here is moving from how to get the data, which was like the previous problem was how to get the data fast enough.
Yeah,
And this is the bot solving like immediately. You can get all the data. And this is like the next challenge is you need to implement the guardrails in order to just prevent your sales team from seeing things that they shouldn't. Like
that's correct.
this is what should they guide you here, because
Yeah,
it can do all of that.
yeah. And another thing is that, we have so many different tools out there that like voice to or speech to voice. The bots include that. You can essentially speak into the bot and it will literally listen it in and then add that as a speech to text automatically, again saving you a lot of time, because a lot of you may be on the phone call, or maybe you just quickly want to add notes into Salesforce. You can use a bot to do that. You can talk into it, it will record, and then it will run actions accordingly. And we've been able to do that in Salesforce, Dynamics 365, NetSuite, Monday, you name it, we're able to do it. So that is a bot in a nutshell. And styling wise, it's pretty straightforward. You can style it whatever you like. It can certainly have your own branding, but that's the starting premise. The bot's making huge headlines these days. I don't know if you've read the Chipotle one. People are using Chipotle bot to get Claude answers. Um,
Uh-huh.
so yeah, so definitely need to have guardrails. And for guardrails, we definitely allow you to have instructions and security as well, if needed. So you certainly will not be making that mistake as well. All right, next on the agenda
Yeah.
is document generation. And this is a big piece, especially when it comes to NetSuite. So before I show document generation, Abhishek, tell us what the before looks like and what does the current scope look like in the NetSuite world if you want to do document generation? What are my options here?
Well, well, basically, I'll separate the two population in NetSuite. We have document-like transaction-like documents that are being printed in NetSuite natively, but requires a customization. And we have a report-like a statement, customer statements, for example, that also have like a customization in NetSuite using a FreeMarker, which is fairly technical and have its own limitation.
And when you say
And
technical, like walk me through like how much technical understanding does one need to have to, let's say, draft a simple document to pull maybe like open invoices, for example.
I would say that inexperienced user in those areas, it can take like maybe even few hours, even considering using LLM and so on. When you're not aware of the NetSuite schema behind the scenes and which fields you need to source and from where, it can be cumbersome.
Yeah. And that's fair. Not
So this is
everybody
a real
has.
challenge.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. Yeah, that's really the hard part. If you don't know HTML, sure you can use like ChatGPT, Claude, to get that, but you still need to know what you're doing. And not everybody is, keen to jump on and start using Claude and ChatGPT and just simply get an output and then start returning directly into a document. Obviously, a lot of companies are still sort of not allowing. I know the big banks, certainly United States, don't allow certain departments to use AI in there. So that's also another factor to take into play. But today I'm going to show you
Yeah.
why you can do that in Noca, and you probably don't need any HTML knowledge. You just simply need to know how to use Word, which we've been using since when it was released, which is a long, long time ago. So let's go into it. I'm going to show you how to build a document. So just to set this up, I'm going to show you what I have inside of NetSuite. So I'm going to go to my transactions. Actually, I'll go to my reports and look at the open invoices. So I've got a lot of open invoices here, which what I'd like to do is just bring all of that data directly via a table without having to do any HTML. So to do that, what Noca's done is it's provided you a Word add-in. which is part of the suite itself. And what you can do is this. You can go in there, add your flow, and I already created this flow, and you can see it brings all the fields directly from NetSuite ready for me to merge them into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a very simple example here where I'm adding a table. I'm going to choose my products and then simply add the fields. So I'll do internal ID, then we'll do subtotal, and then we'll do one more, which is the sales effective date. So these fields, like I said, are coming completely from NetSuite. And to really build this flow, you just have to write a prompt to like bring me all open invoices from NetSuite, and then it will give you the fields and the logic directly automatically. And your job is just this, is simply adding the fields and inserting it directly in here. And now once it's in here, you can do a lot of different things. You can format the dates, you can add like different currencies. I'm keeping it very simple for the purpose of the demo, but I'm going to show you a complicated example, which is actually fully done up. And then once you're happy, you just click preview. It's going to run through, query NetSuite, and bring all that data just for you to see, okay, that your logic is correct and what you're querying is also correct. So we'll give it a couple more seconds and we should get a preview very, very shortly on this. And there you are. There's a preview with all the data, all the open invoices coming directly from NetSuite. Now, notice, the date format, it could be different depending on countries. Currency could be different depending on countries. We'll give you all those options to customize it. That's a very, very easy setting. Now, once you've done this, I'm going to go back to an example here. So this is an example I set up earlier. And you can see we've got a professional looking template and we've added merge tags directly inside of it. And this is the advantage to what Avishai said, that, customers would build this currently using HTML, and that is tricky. It's not easy. Like with HTML, you have to worry about spacing, you have to go back and forth. It can take you hours. The hardest part of this is just getting the data in. And I just showed you how easy you can actually add the data. After that, it's just styling, which is so native to Word. And that LLM can help you with that as well. That's really, really easy. And then once you've got this, all you really have to do is you have to just publish it to the flow you want this to execute from. So you go into the publish and it loads and you choose your flow. And once you've got your flow, you just simply submit it. Now, what happens afterwards? So this is where it gets really interesting, because now here's my flow. So let's say I want to run weekly invoices. I want my agent to go through, look for all the open invoices every week and send it as a schedule to the customer. So in this case, I've done it manually because obviously during the webinar, I can't exactly nail the timing. But instead of manual, it would be schedule. Now, here's the cool part. If I just go ahead and run it, let's say I'll do debug the draft version. In my inbox, it's completely empty, nothing there right now. But what this will do, it will take that template that I just showed you, which I uploaded. It will run it. So let's just pretend the first action is completely scheduled. This is what the agent will be doing. It will be going through, it will be looking at the open invoices, it will be gathering them in the template, and then it will be executing that email directly to the customer. And then this is what the end result looks like. If I go to my email, you can send this as a PDF, docx, whatever. But you can see now, look how cool this looks. All the details that are pulled directly from NetSuite into a branded document. You can see all the pending invoices, how many days they've been pending. You can add really jazzy, professional looking template and send it to your customer. So Avishai, have you, based on what you've seen here, do you think there's like a big advantage in time save for a company doing it this way?
Yes, exactly. Because many times you can find the finance teams that want to do a ad hoc solution, just send that, just add this letter to the customer and solve manual things and do it in short time. And this is like something that everyone can do. Like it's not technical, it's taken very short and you can do it immediately. And this is even if you're not building like an automated process. But of course, you can do also that and like build a done-in process that it's fully automatically.
Yeah.
And this is keeping you from going into the technicals. So you just need to know what you want out of it.
Yeah, and another big advantage, I know we're really focused on NetSuite here, but we can actually read data from Salesforce, NetSuite, and anything else, any data point, even like Google Sheets, and basically merge it all into one document. That's like a huge advantage over other document generation solutions out there, which really cater to like, for example, one will cater only to Salesforce, another will cater to only this. Monday will have its own level of document generation, which will only cater to Monday, but it won't be able to then connect to Salesforce. Noca looks past all of that. It can really just go from any data source, combine it all for you, and then send the documents wherever you need it to do, and whether that's like on a schedule basis or whether it's a event based. So if any event that you want to send it and the criteria is met or executed, the document will be sent with the merge tags. So that's document generation. Now, the cost wise, this is going to be much cheaper than what currently NetSuite offers. I believe, Avishai, do you know the pricing of the current solution, which you talk about, like the HTML? I believe it's around $5,000 to $6,000 a year. Correct me if I'm wrong.
About the dining solution, I believe you're probably right. Oh, I'm familiar with those numbers. And
Yeah,
and I would also add that in that way, combining multiple sources like maybe NetSuite, maybe your billing system and Salesforce, you can create even like financial reconciliation reports in no time because you can just reconcile everything, having an ID,
yeah,
and then just check your all systems are aligned and on the same page.
yeah. That's a great point. The reconciliation part of it, and we also do batch generation as well. That's another thing. We also support Excel um, and PowerPoint, so we can do all of those, not an issue whatsoever. So that's document generation, and it's a solution that's cheaper than what you'll find, but it gives you so much more than what you currently get as well. Not to mention, you don't have to be very technical to run these. You can just be a standard user who knows how to use Microsoft Word, and off you go. Now, last but not least, I want to talk about today is applications. Now, applications have completely changed the game in the way it's done today. So here is Noca apps. This is another thing that Noca does. You know, so far we spoke about how Noca does flows, Noca does document generation. Another big thing it does is application. And before I dive into this, it's important to understand that when we do applications, we can push them to any system. To give you an idea of what we can connect to, I'll show you a simple example and I'll show you how many connectors we have. We have so many. We have Monday, Google, SAP, DocuSign, Google, Slack, MailChimp, Dynamic CRM. If you want, you can essentially connect all of them and have the data go back and forth. This is an iPaaS system first before it became apps, document generation, bots, digital workers. So this is really where Noca began. This was the premise of the entire process. So diving back into it, I want to talk to you, Avishai, about apps here because, like I said, we've got so many solutions out there, vibe coding wise. What have you seen? How have you seen like the landscape change in the past 6 months alone? Actually, it's been pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of tools in that area. Just like naming the big ones, we have maybe Lovable and Base 44 and a lot more applications. But I think that the main consideration here, and again, with the context we're speaking about, is the NetSuite and financial integrations. You wouldn't want to connect everything, and you wouldn't want any application that is not secured enough. And basically, that's the highest leverage that I can think of, because any app can just generate a UI. It's very simple today. and it can be made like with minutes. But you want a safe and secure connection between your apps because the risk is substantial.
Yeah. And Noca's no different on that. We've actually, way before that, like doing applications for us was we've got a fair bit of experience in it, which means the security is handled. You can add two-factor authorization on it. As for data in transit, we're HIPAA compliant. So there is layer of security and there's also a layer of experience that we add into this product. So what I'm going to do is, in this case, this is completely linked to NetSuite. And again, it's all built using a prompt. What I'm going to do is simply create a vendor inside of NetSuite, and we'll go from there. So let's do Burger King as a company. I'll take a URL and I'll just modify it because I'm lazy like that. And then we'll add Burger Street, King City. And this is a multi-step form. So now I'll go through one step, I'll go into the next one. So we'll do this one. We'll do Tom King. And then we will add a number. Now, the final step is I can add a bunch of files. So I will go to my test docs and we will do a simple PDF and also another PDF. We'll do the same one here. And then simply complete the registration. Now, what this will do, this will simply process this vendor application and upload the data directly into NetSuite. There's no middle option where this stores in like a local storage and then you have to like sync it to NetSuite. This is all directly going in there. And just to prove it, I'll go in there right now. And let's say there it is. You can see that Burger King is just created as a vendor. And then in the relationship, you'll be able to see that Tom King is the contact linked to this particular vendor directly inside of NetSuite. And it could be that you also create this in Salesforce and also link it directly into NetSuite. The use cases are endless of how many things you can do. You can even notify somebody. You can notify in Slack that a new vendor's been onboarded. Avishai, you want to talk about this? Like, this is obviously a pretty big use case. A lot of times you're fetching all this data manually via email. How much of a difference have you seen this has made in everybody's life today?
Yeah, this is a solid use case because, well, there are solutions to that, but they're either not fully compatible with everything that you need, because if you're developing something, then you might hit like an obstacles, maybe on files and uploads and creating the vendors, or you can just purchase a very expensive vendor onboarding and purchasing system, and then you have everything set up, but again, you are paying a high ticket for that. And this is like solving this in elegance, and you can just decide about your process, exactly what you know, exactly what you need. And this is like a classic example of something that is very simple. Vendor onboarding is the simplest scenario that can be. Just the vendor, fill in their details, uploading maybe just a few files, maybe W8, W9 forms, and everything that you need in order to actually pay them. And no complexity of the data, just the process that many companies used to do manually via emails and other tools. And it's taking many, many hours of the financial teams. And this is just solve this with elegance and in no time.
Yeah, and another thing I want to add, I actually had not planned this for the webinar, but I think it's worth definitely showing. Right now, what you've seen is just like a form entry that's been pushed through, and you might be like, wow, what's so amazing about that? But one of the things that Noca can do is it can actually read documents as well. So just to give you an example, I will add a node, which essentially what it does it can read through any PDF uploaded. So if, like you saw in the form, there is a file upload option. You can attach this node, have it upload a file, then you can ask a bunch of questions from that file. You can say, okay, is this a W9 file? What is the client name? What is the client ID? What is their address? What is their social security number? And then it will extract all those answers. And then you can say, okay, I want this data to go here, this data to go here. Maybe I want a table. So this will allow you to essentially just take it to the next level, where right now you build a portal, you build a simple form, and it's got file uploads in there. But once the file is uploaded and it's gone back to NetSuite or Salesforce or anywhere else, you still have to manually open to double check things. But this node here will allow you to just simply do that and forget it. And then you can just stack the questions in advance. It will extract the data, saving you more time, saving your colleagues more time. And then you can do further checks and advance things and move it forward rather than having to actually, okay, I've got my data. Let me now go and double verify it. Let me now go and manually input it. You can take it step by step, level further, and have it everything all automated. Now, as we on this topic, Avishai, I do want to pick your brains. What are some of the biggest things you've seen in terms of document parsing? I mean, RAG has really taken it to the next level. Almost all companies are now processing through RAG. Can you tell me like some cool use cases you've seen recently?
Well, related to our use case, then it can leverage very well. Like you can do a validation on the file that like if you have any rejects that you have on the process, then you can make the process do it for you. Like if something is not filled in the document as correctly, or you see a mismatch, then you can just do it automatically. And in like a broader context in NetSuite, I would say that there are many documents that are being processed on daily basis. So bookkeepers are reading bills and entering those to the systems, and procurement teams are maybe entering purchase orders and purchase requests. So the list goes on, and there are many, many documents involved in that process.
Yeah.
So if you could just let the doc rag ingest your documents and then just be the final approver of the document in it, we just make sure that everything is as it should be, then I think it can save many hours to the financial team or procurement team.
Yeah. And that's fair. Now, those are like great insights, and you can build everything here as you've seen. But one part I didn't cover is like, how do you actually build stuff? How do you do it in Noca? And this is the kind of the final point where I want to end it at before we move on to Q&A. I want to show you an example of like how you can simply paste a prompt like this. Like when a new customer is created in NetSuite, check if there's an account in Salesforce with the same account name as the customer. If that is true, then do this in Slack, otherwise do this in Salesforce. Now I've got multiple things involved here, but this is really the premise of Noca. You simply just say, and then Noca does the rest. It will go ahead and look at what your prompt is. It will understand what system it needs to connect to. Then it will ask you, okay, I see you're trying to connect to NetSuite. Give me your connection. Okay, my job is to confirm. It will say, okay, I see you want to connect to Slack. Choose your Slack connection, confirm. And then for Salesforce, it will do the same thing. Now, once it's doing that, it's going to go ahead and leverage all the components and start creating the flow dynamically for you. This is something that's automatically created, nothing you have to go in there and do. It will ask you for the connection, which you've already provided. It will then say, great, okay, I've got everything that I need. Let me just go ahead and build it directly inside of the Noca's canvas. So here, we've got the customer is created in NetSuite, check if the same account is in Salesforce. If it is true, send Slack. Otherwise, create an account in Salesforce if it doesn't exist. And it will start to process everything and build it for you. Now, Avishai, obviously, there are so many other iPaaS systems out there. but how many of them can actually just write a prompt, create a flow, and then off you go? Because this is still fairly complex work that needs to be done. Like, it's not easy to just say, all right, if a record is created in NetSuite, do this in Salesforce, otherwise do that in Slack.
Well, I would say it depends on the context and how deep is your scenario in each system, because like transferring records between systems, it's fairly easy. And with Noca, when you can just prompt the system and it builds the integration for you, I believe anyone can do that in no time without even preparing for that. But as your scenario is being more complex, involves transactions, involve related transactions. I'm talking in the NetSuite context, where you have many, many related records and many tables in NetSuite that you need to maybe query in order to get data for your scenario, or to create records that are part of the scenario, then it can become complex. This is like the hard part. This is like the main thing, the common thing of all integration. Like I believe that the barrier moved from the leverage of the technical stuff, because LLM can do that for you, but you need to understand the schema behind the scene. You need to understand which field is connected into which table and how the data is structured in order to query it once, in order to do the calculations you need in each system, not just NetSuite, and then to push back a record. If that is the scenario, then what are you pushing?
Yeah. And LLM give you a really good structure to start off with. Like, that's something it definitely eliminates, because in previously you would have to build node by node. You have to go everything node by node, connection, like that. So you can set everything up based on your prompt, and then you can go into each individual each individual node and have a look at what it's actually doing. And it makes debugging a little bit easier as well. I know that there's a lot of ways you can now implement these kind of, like, there's OpenClaw out there, which obviously nobody uses in production at the moment, as far as I believe. Like, I use it and I find it so much
Not
fun,
with NetSuite, I believe.
but not with NetSuite. But it is, like I said, it's very powerful. But another sort of disadvantage there is that because everything is run through LLM, it's hard to see the rules, right? Like, which rule is where. You can't really eyeball it unless you ask the LLM. And that also, burns a lot of tokens too. Like, there's a price to pay. It's not cheap to constantly ask the LLM, okay, what is it doing in node 2, node 3, node 4? Could you speak to that a little bit, like having like a visual map almost, just to see if something does go wrong, it's easy to look without wasting tokens?
Yeah. Well, I believe this is also the important part, like the other side of the guardrails that we talked about. And in the financial area, well, basically in everything that is production, you need to have an audit traceability. You need to know what happened and why, because this is like the scenario that happens every time, every day, every hour, and something went wrong. Then you need to understand why, and you need to fix that. And having the system show you exactly the structure, and not just an LLM that is behind the scenes and you can't understand what it does. It's it shortens your way, because you don't have to understand it each time. You can just see the diagram and you understand the flow, because it's simple, and then you can just dive in and understand what went wrong. And as it grows more complex, if you are holding this in LLM, then you can waste like a couple of hours to understand what you did there.
Yeah, and also it's a great point on the governance and also the audit part of it, because if you look at this, we have logs now for every single one that was ran. And I'm going to click on the one that specifically errored, because it will run through it, but it can tell you what each node executed directly, so you know exactly where it broke and what you need to do to be able to fix it. And then if it's a success, it's the same story. Every node is green. You can see what each node was passing as it was going forward, what sort of details were sent out. And that's another advantage over, again, like with LLM, it's like execute and forget. It's working, but there is like sometimes very hard to audit everything, especially if you need to go into micro details. So this is again another advantage with Noca, that you've got the full traceability here, that you can see what's going on, when it was going on, what time it was executed, and if it broke, why it broke as well. And there are another couple of things that you can do. You can look at like different versions of the flow. This is again something very familiar in the iPaaS system, but it still holds its credit today, because if you're a company that's scaling and really you care about security, governance, audit, then these things are non-negotiable today, because if you don't have them, you can't really track anything that's going on. So that pretty much completes everything that we had today. Like I said, we discussed bots, document generation, apps, and now we move on to Q&A. So if there are any attendees that are currently in a webinar and have questions, this is your time. Please ask us as many questions as you like, and me and Avishai will try our best to answer them. And if you'd like to get in touch with Avishai, this is his QR code. Anything NetSuite related, he does tons of other things as well. So you can reach out to him, ask him anything, or maybe you seek his services, then these are his details. So we'll pause here. We'll wait for any particular questions that come through. While that's asking questions, I always love to ask this question. Abhishek, have you seen anything that's like blown your mind recently? You're like, wow, this is like crazy. I've never seen anything like this before.
Well, actually, yes. This is like a daily feeling with Claude. It's an amazing tool. Like you can use it from like for any use case. Have you used Claude Cowork?
Yeah.
It's an amazing tool. Like Claude have taken all the workspace from chat to Cowork. It can just run your computer for you, and of course code, which is like the state of the art tool for writing code. You can do anything from marketing and using your browser to just send messages, and like it's doing everything. It's amazing. And you talked earlier about OpenClaw,
Yeah.
and I believe this is the answer of Anthropic to OpenClaw. Like it's amazing. They already exposed the co-work even into the free tier of Claude. So
Yeah,
very
definitely.
useful tool.
Yep, agreed. Now, I'm reading through a couple of the questions here. How are SODs maintained? So you're going to have to give me a bit more context on that, because that could be a few different things depending on the domain. So I'll move on to the next question, which is, can anyone pull any data via bot? Not any data. You can certainly control what somebody pulls through. Like there are many different ways you can put guardrails inside of it. You can decide which data source, you can decide how much of that data source somebody can view. You can decide you can give it instructions that if somebody tries to access XYZ, they cannot, and this they can. So there is like a lot of ways you can guardrail the data. Now this question is actually quite interesting, because like, can anyone pull data via bot? Not everybody. You can add authentication, but bunch of things, but you can control it really. And I think the SODs was more on the governance side of things. So, we maintain that same. We have an access control that we provide, and we can also add authentications directly onto all the apps that you use, so you can control pretty much everything as you want from there. Now, we'll have a few more questions coming in. Here, let me just check my headphones. They're playing around a little bit. Okay, so what is the security protocol used in the integration? We've got a couple. We've got OAuth 2.0. We have API keys and service account credentials. I think there's no data stored at rest, I believe, which is true. And HTTPS TLS 1.2, all data in transit. We also HIPAA certified as well. Yeah, those are some of the security protocols used on our platform. And we can get a bit more specific as well. Any other questions? All right, so we'll wait a couple of minutes more for any other questions that you have. And then from there on, we will end the webinar today. It's been good, solid 40 minutes of showing a lot of different things. And Noca can do 100 billion things more, to be really honest. That we'd love to show, but we'd be here forever, which I'm sure not everybody wants to be on a webinar for hours these days to see everything. But we are releasing videos on a regular basis of all the functionality that Noca has to offer.
Yeah, it's an open canvas. You can do hours of that.
You certainly can. All right, so last minute. If there are any outstanding questions, we will take them. Otherwise, we will conclude this webinar. And once again, I'm going to share my screen very quickly, if it'll allow me. Okay, maybe it won't. All right, so let me have a look in Q&A one more time, see if there's anything up there. Nothing in there. All right, so just to wrap it all up, here's Avishai. If you ever want to get in touch with him about anything, his QR code is there. You can scan it. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then we are available on LinkedIn as well. You can also take my email, which is, I'll type it in the chat so everybody can see it. This is my email address if you'd like to get in touch about Noca and other things. And I'll be happy to take those questions as well and answer them in detail. And finally, thank you very much. I know it was good, solid 45 minutes we've covered here, and everybody's busy these days. So I really, really appreciate everybody attending, taking time out of their day to come and join us to see what Noca has to offer. Avishai, thank you so much. I had so much fun working with you here. And I
Thank
look
you,
forward
Amit.
to see what this comes about. But I appreciate your time. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.